I'm going to take a look at three examples of animations that were created using MapScene's Capture. This is a top-down view of the scene here. I'm going to activate the animation here, and the Capture Designer opens up. And it is in this area here where you control your symbols, which in this case are our vehicles, as well as any cameras that are to be used in the animation. I'm going to turn the animation on here and take a look at it. Let it run its course here. And we're going to pan around the scene here and look at some of the features of the scene. The vehicles that you see placed here were placed based on witnesses that were identified at the scene. Some of the key features here are what the client wanted in. There was a gas station on this corner here. I'm going to zoom into the scene here and show you how to use the slider control here that allows you to move the vehicles forward and back to a certain time or position within the animation. In this animation I had some predefined cameras. I'm going to give you a different view here. I'm going to activate the camera that would have represented the view from the front of the patrol car and play it here and let it run its course. I wanted to point out that these animations are based on a reconstruction. So they're based on factual data, physical evidence that was found at the scene. Here we're looking at a second animation. We've already seen the scene earlier, and we have three vehicles that are in here as well as a series of cameras that offer different views. So again, talking about the reconstruction, these are all based on physical evidence that includes the area of impact, tire marks that were found at the scene, and we've gone through and done a time and distance analysis as well as determine the speeds of the vehicles involved so that we can try and match as closely as possible how the incident actually occurred. Okay, so we're going to zoom in here, lock the view in, and use a slider here again to demonstrate how we can get back to a certain time or position of the vehicles. This will represent the front view from the van. And this will represent a front view from the Toyota pickup. And the last example that we have here is the tree chipper motorcycle case. You can see that we have several tracks here to control the motorcycle, the rider, and we're adding some roll to the motorcycles. We're adding some visibility tracks to the riders, and I'll explain why we do that here. So again, this is a little more complex animation. We'll see the motorcycle start to pass, and then the truck starts its left turn. And you'll see that the motorcyclists, the riders, disappear upon impact. So again, talking about physical evidence, we had physical evidence to track where the collision occurred, where the motorcycles ended up and how they ended up where they did, but nothing to indicate the position of rest of the riders nor how they arrived at that position. And in this case here, we found it better to turn off the riders at impact as opposed to try and speculate how they ended up at their position of rest. So you can see that we have the impact and the motorcycles start to tilt and fall. The rider disappears, a second impact, and again the same thing. The motorcycle falls onto its side and slides to a stop with the riders disappearing. So we're locking this into a view here where we can activate the slider and analyze some of the physical evidence. Here's the first motorcycle here that pops the tire of the truck at impact. The second skid mark represents the second motorcyclist skidding on his rear tire up to the point of impact. So what we had in this case was the tire marks and the position of rest of the vehicles. And for the last view of the demonstration here, we have a top-down view of the animation. And that'll conclude this portion of the demonstration.